Hi, I'm natekokernot. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to talk about another aspect of communication that was touched on in the forum of brilliant thinkers called the Ecology of Communication. I'll share the link to that video once again in the More section. Besides for getting our thoughts and belief in order, communication is the key to healing a very messed up world. I really don't think we can improve our situation without taking an honest look at how confused our communication practices currently are. The polarization that everyone is quite familiar with in the last decade or so is just another word for two-sided, and today's presentation is about not taking sides. The primary logic behind my argument for not taking sides is based on one of the premises of all spiritual thought, not just A Course in Miracles, that the truth about us is that we are one, not many. The appearance of many is an illusion. The illusion itself has been referred to by the Hindu tradition for centuries as Maya. You can go back farther than that to the 7 Hermetic principles, which predate the birth of Jesus by at the very least a few centuries, and they are clearly and unambiguously telling us that 1, we are experiencing an illusion that is created in the mind, and that there is only one of us here. So many people have been telling us this for at least 2 millennia. And why aren't we learning it? Well, we might all be learning it right now. Real growth in learning doesn't happen without some discomfort, and the biggest swings usually involve hitting bottom in some way. This is why so many spiritual people look at tumultuous times such as these as a clear indication that some kind of new paradigm of thought and belief is about to come out of the increased chaos. Yes, spiritual people do get a little excited in the dark times, because most of us did hit some proverbial bottom before we had our transformations in our individuated belief systems. We know it's darkest just before the dawn. Perhaps you want to be on the leading edge of this paradigm shift, and if so, this shift from separation mentality to oneness mentality is the most likely premise that will be re-examined, and re-examined very soon. And we have lots more evidence now to support it, mostly because of the contributions of science. Oneness might have multiple, perhaps even infinite aspects to it, but it doesn't have any sides. Sides are not a thing in oneness. What the spiritual teachers tell us is that God is everything, and that we, as individuated souls, are part of that everything, whether we are aware of it or not. Sure, our sensory perceptions are telling us a very different story, but after I finish this series on communication, I'm going to dive into the science of cognition and perception for a while, and show you plenty of evidence that our sensory systems are indeed lying to us. The illusion is one in which we are not aware of that oneness. It doesn't erase the oneness, it just erases it from our experience. It's still here. It always has been, and it always will be. According to A Course in Miracles, the belief that we succeeded in separating from God, or everything, has introduced us to 2 emotions that did not exist previous to the emergence of the thought of separation: guilt and fear. Guilt for having separated, and fear because now it appears there's people around us who have separate and often opposing agendas from ours. This is true only in the illusion. It's still not the case in reality, and it's guaranteed never to become reality because that is not God's will. The main reason that some of us haven't awakened to this reality is that some of us are still hoping against hope that by getting more than our share of the resources, we'll find a permanent happiness. But I would challenge anyone who believes that to show me a truly happy person who is following the path, or that path. I'm not excluding myself from this group. I still long for more sometimes, and I still strive to get more sometimes. As Jim Carrey said once, he wishes everyone could get a taste of being rich, just so they could experience it for themselves. That it doesn't make them joyful. It makes you fearful, because you're hyper-aware of the fact that the others who have less are going to come after you or more. So they're living in too much fear to possibly experience anything like a permanent joy. But this isn't about trashing the rich. If you watched my videos on the more than everything quote from a certain birthday card that's been in the news of late, I wasn't intending to trash the rich there either. I was simply pointing out that with very few exceptions, we are all still confused about a basic premise of reality. So are the poor people who hope to become rich someday. It's not a question really of whether it's right or wrong to take sides. It's a true and false question. The very concept of sides needs separation to even exist in our imaginations. And separation is false. Period. This next part may seem very presumptuous, but beyond just knowing that this oneness is the truth, I also know that each of you knows it too. God had an answer for it in the instant the thought of separation occurred in the mind of the one Son of God. God gave us all a heart transplant. He placed the Holy Spirit in the mind of his one Son, which now looks splintered into billions of sons and daughters, and each and every one of us has a part of the mind that remembers the truth and will never forget it. The ego is a much louder voice in our heads than the Holy Spirit. It's louder because it has to be. If you don't speak truth, you have to compensate by raising the volume, and you may become very persistent and consistent, just like a lawyer who doesn't have the truth on their sides. The other lawyer, if they're smart, will let the loud and lying one tangle themselves in knots, and just sit back knowing the truth is still true. If these ideas are helpful to you, then please join the folks who have subscribed to this channel, and hit the like button if you don't mind. It will all help to gain more traction on the algorithm. I'm far from the only one who is espousing these ideas on YouTube and elsewhere, but this message is not popular as of yet, and it needs to gain in popularity before the tipping point is reached. So let's speed that up, for the sake of ending this pointless suffering. The ego is still breathing and talking too loud for most of us to hear the truth, and the truth is what will set us free, as Jesus once said. Thanks for listening to my message, and I'll see you again soon.